right, everybody's here that's gonna be here this evening, and it's 5 o'clock. So we shall get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item on second item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from the September 17th, 2024 meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for September 17th.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote.
McLean,
Aye.
Galvin,
Aye.
Parks,
Aye, but I wasn't here.
He's
Abstained.
Yeah.
Mauer,
Aye.
Dees.
Aye.
All right, the next item on the agenda this evening is the consideration and a vote to recommend approval of the preliminary site plan for Aquatic Ecosystem Consultants, AEC. Tim Snyder is the applicant.
So Tim Snyder owns and operates Aquatic Ecosystem Consultants, which is a full-service pond management company currently located in Bonner Springs, Kansas. He has decided to move his business to Paola and submitted a preliminary site plan application for a 7,200 square foot facility located at 1008 Industrial Park Drive. Parcel is approximately 6.9 acres and is at the western end of Industrial Park Drive. Site plan was completed by Allen Brand Drews and Associates and was reviewed by staff as well as Wilson and Company engineers and architects. It was also sent to Public Works Director for his review, and he did not have any comments. For minimum site area required for this is 10,000 square feet, and there's 6.95 acres. The minimum lot width is 80 feet. Street setbacks are 25 feet, sides 10, rear is 20, and they've met all their setbacks. Parking required is 3.5, and it's actually rounded up to 4. They've met that with 4 spaces. Parking setbacks for street are 15 and other are 5, and they've met those. All dumpsters will be enclosed with a masonry or wood fence. No signage plan has been provided, but it'll be approved at staff level during the permitting process, as well as the landscaping plan. Drainage calculations will also be reviewed during final site plan. This application is consistent with section 21.625 of the LDO, and it will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of the community. Staff's recommendation is the approval of the preliminary site plan with the condition that all review comments are satisfied. And Rob George is the GC for the project, so he's here to answer any questions you guys might have too.
Have any questions?
I just got comments back yesterday, and they were very basic, all stuff that they put on everything, and normally it gets satisfied as a part of the final site plan or permitting process.
And that street's already paved through there, isn't it?
Yes, yep, and they're gonna do the asphalt cul-de-sac and come off of it, that'll stay private.
Great.
Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to recommend approval of the primary site plan for Aquatic Engineering Consultants located at 1008 Industrial Drive Park.
A second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote.
McLean,
Aye.
Kelman,
Aye.
Parks,
Aye.
Mauer,
Aye.
Dees.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
You're Rob.
Yeah.
Guys are tough.
He just got the seat instructor. All right, item 4 is the review of proposed LDO text amendments. We're looking at keeping chickens and bees, at sign regulations, and at fence regulations. So,
It's a doozy. We'll start with chickens and bees. City staff has been asked on numerous occasions if the keeping of chickens or honeybees is allowed in town. Currently, the LDO does not have any clearly stated regulations on this topic other than the keeping of farm animals as pets. Historically, the keeping of chickens for any reason has been grouped into this section, where the minimum lot area required is 3 acres. Currently, there are only 9 residential properties in the city limits that will be allowed to keep chickens or any other type of farm animal. Due to the large amount of interest in this topic, staff looked into the regulations from surrounding municipalities and compared them to ours. Upon completing the research, staff has proposed a text amendment to the LDO. The current regulations are as follows. This section applies only to farm animals and exotic animals kept as pets and not commercial purposes. Minimum lot area is 3 acres, maximum of 2 animals or 10 adult fowl, exotic cage birds, or 1 animal and 5 fowl exotic cage birds are allowed. Fence or cages of sufficient size based on the carrying capacity of the land as defined by the Stockman's Handbook must be provided. If not identified in the Stockman's Handbook, the zoning administration shall make a determination based on similar type and size of animals identified in the handbook or by consulting a veterinarian. He is proof of state permits if applicable. The shed, yard, pen, or other place which animals or fowl are kept shall be maintained in a manner that is not offensive to those residing in the vicinity or annoying to the public. Staff's proposed changes are as follows. This section applies only to the keeping of animals for personal use and not for commercial purposes. Keeping of animals is also subject to the provisions of Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code. For the purposes of this section, large farm animal means horses, ponies, cows, hogs, pigs, and other similarly sized animals. Small farm animal means chickens, rabbits, or other similarly sized animals. Animals only permitted on single-family lots with a principal residence. All animals shall be kept in a manner as to not interfere with the life, health, or safety of other animals or humans. Animals will not be permitted to run at large or to deposit excretory matter upon the property of anyone other than their owners. Prohibited animals include roosters, turkeys, ducks, and other animals with frequent loud vocalizations are not permitted. Number allowed. The minimum lot size required for keeping of any large farm animal is, this is where I would like your guys' input on 1 or 3 acres. Maximum of 1 large farm animal and 10 small farm animals per acre. On lots smaller than 1 or 3 acres, 1 small farm animal is permitted per 1,000 square feet of lot space with a maximum of 10 small farm animals. For enclosures, all animals must be kept in an enclosed structure or area located in the side or rear yard and are not permitted to roam outside of the enclosure. Enclosures which are open to the sky must contain a wall or fence of sufficient height to contain the animals. Enclosures for chickens shall be a minimum of 4 square feet per chicken and include a run. The combined area for the enclosure and run shall be a minimum of 10 square feet per chicken. All enclosures shall follow the setback requirements of an accessory structure prescribed in section 3.210. No enclosure may be located within 25 feet of any dwelling, church, school, or business structure located on adjacent property. A building permit shall be obtained prior to construction of any enclosure. For the keeping of bees, up to 2 beehives are permitted on lots up to 1 or 3 acres and are subject to the following regulations. Fresh, clean water must be kept within 20 feet of a hive, stand, or apiary. The owner of any hive or apiary shall install and maintain a flyway barrier 6 feet in height consisting of a solid wall, fence, vegetation, or combination thereof that is parallel to the property line and that extends 10 feet beyond the hive or apiary in each direction so that all bees are forced to fly at an elevation of at least 6 feet above the ground over the property lines in the vicinity of the hive or apiary. No beehive shall be placed or kept in violation of these requirements, and in no event shall be located closer than 5 feet to the property line, within 25 feet of any dwelling, church, school, or business structure located on adjacent property, closer than 10 feet from a public pedestrian path, within 25 feet of the edge of a public street, anywhere other than the side or rear yard of a property. On lots larger than 1 or 3 acres, the zoning administrator will review requests for greater numbers of hives. And for penalties, a violation of any term of this section shall constitute a public nuisance and will be subject to all the provisions in chapter 8 of the municipal code.
Lot.
That's a lot.
Can we talk about them separately?
Absolutely.
I think would be the best way.
I just wanted to get them all
approach
out there, at least for
that. Okay,
record.
let's talk about chickens first.
Yep.
Because they're the easiest to talk about. Or they're not the easiest, but they probably would be the most prevalent in the city itself.
Correct.
In town, so. Matter of fact, there's probably, I don't know for a fact, but I would guess there's already some in town.
Correct.
Yeah, because there historically always has been.
Yes.
I don't. Let's start with the large farm animals. I think for large farm animals, my opinion, 3 acres is the right size property for a large animal, for a horse,
Okay.
a cow, or whatever. For the small animals, I think 1 acre for chickens, and then of course you've got lots of under 1 acre, and that's where your 1,000 square feet of space comes into play.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now that's my opinion, because chickens don't need as much space as large farming.
And the majority of the people that have inquired about it have been on smaller lots.
Yeah.
How many people?
Off the top of my head, in the last year, there's been, just that have asked about it, there's probably been 8 asking if they can have them. Several more that do have them that just don't get complained about.
Okay.
Right now, I don't actively go out and look for them to enforce it. I just wait for a complaint. If a complaint comes in,
Okay,
then I address it. We've had 2 complaints in the last year. And generally complaints are that they stink, or there's ducks. All stuff that would still be prohibited in here that I would still be able to enforce.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
In the current and in the suggested the term and not for commercial purposes.
Mhm.
do we have a definition of commercial purposes? Because if I have chickens and sell the eggs, does that not make it commercial?
I don't believe so. I think once you get to a certain size of a chicken farm per se, I think like the local farmers markets aren't as regulated as a commercial chicken business, or commercial egg selling.
So, so we have definitions or parameters of what commercial means?
I don't know if we do currently, but I can add them in as part of this.
Well, when I read it in both places, my thought is, I don't know too many people that, because it reads like they want chickens for pets.
And that's what everybody,
Okay,
pets or eggs for themselves.
so they have eggs, almost everyone I know that has chickens sell their eggs.
Mm,
And everyone I know that has bees sells their honey. And I'm not saying they're making a big market
Mhm.
out of it. But if we approve this, even it's in the old and the new,
mhm.
do we need to define commercial? Because any selling of the product makes it commercial,
Okay,
Somebody's gonna probably complain and be like, there's one, so it makes a commercial and.
right?
Yeah.
Are they paying city taxes on that?
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
kidding.
I mean, it's something that somebody would say.
Right, so,
Um,
so that question, and then also prohibited animals. I don't know a lot about chickens, but don't they want roosters too?
Not that I have,
Is that,
they aren't needed, I don't think,
Not
for
needed.
egg.
right, yeah, they're not needed, but is that not part of it? I don't know chicken farming, so.
A lot of
They're
people,
loud.
they're loud.
Yeah, I know they're loud, cause it's funny, I didn't realize this, you maybe told me that the house, like at the end of our neighborhood is county, not city, and I can hear, like, if I leave early in the morning, I can hear
Really?
roosters, I can hear them going off.
Yeah.
I heard a cow mooing this morning, and I don't know where the closest cow is to. So somebody that would have chickens would be okay just having hens.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know they don't need the rooster, but I didn't know if that was part of it.
Yeah, there hasn't been any really desire
Okay.
expressed.
And I know ducks, man, they're.
A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people, I think are just, or would be just thankful that they're actually allowed to have them.
Okay,
Even if they have to abide by a bunch of rules.
yeah,
There seems to be a movement afoot for people to have chickens to raise eggs for their own consumption.
Mhm. And I don't know if it's just the prices of, everything in the
Oh,
grocery
sure.
store.
yeah.
But yeah, it has been a trend that's,
And we have people that give us eggs, I don't ask where to get them from. I gladly take them, but yeah,
Some of the structures that people I've heard of that are keeping chickens are huge. And then I've heard of one person that's 2 chicken pens are air conditioned.
oh, well,
So I mean,
wow.
they do get carried away in the size of their enclosure.
and
So whether that's,
yeah. That's
how,
true.
how far do you go into the regulations? I mean,
Yeah, and I based a lot of this stuff off of the other municipalities that kind of just picked from different ones that would fit us the best.
Do you know how many, this is probably an odd question, how many lots in Paola would qualify as 1 acre or more?
1 acre would be several more, it'd be mainly limited out at the lake.
So my thought is, if I live at the lake in one of those nice homes,
Hmm.
and my neighbor, because he has 1 acre or more, can now have chickens,
10 chickens.
10 chickens, but then, yeah, or if we do the, 1,000 per up to 10, so that's. I mean, that's a lot of land to be able, I'm just wondering how much of a nuisance do chickens on a 1 acre.
You live out there now. I know 1 or 2, I think people out there have them. I don't know that they do in your neighborhood, but, yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, you could speak directly.
I don't really know the chicken farming business that
But-
well, so I'm not
Right,
sure.
no, yeah, there's a couple of them that do, and we've known it, but it is in, the deeds and restrictions in the Baroque Estates that it is not, it's against the
Mhm.
deeds and restrictions there, but there's not an active HOA. And so I don't know where that, lies, but
And I do know from time to time for 4-H, there's been kids here in town
Yeah.
that have raised a chicken in their garage for their 4-H project,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
You didn't even know they had it, but they.
yeah, that's a good plan.
Yeah.
As long as it was, like they said, with no roof stairs and grounds, kind of like to each their own, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
My
And,
neighborhood chickens.
and I know allowing it kind of opens me up to and the city up to more work regulating it and taking care of it, but at least now, as few complaints as we get, and as clearly stated as the regulations would be, I think it would be very easy for me to send a letter and something. And, to get something cleaned up, or if they have a rooster, to get rid of the rooster. Cause I've sent several chicken letters just over the time that I've been here.
Yeah.
You have a formatted chicken litter?
Yeah, it's pre-made.
Yeah.
I got one question.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I got a couple, but like Steve was saying. On the large farm animals. I would have to go with 3 acres.
Okay.
And on the smaller. Small farm animal, I would say they must have to have 1 acre. Not under an acre, but 1 acre. And the people, chickens or bees, whatever we change or we recommend, are they gonna be grandfathered in?
The ones that have them now,
Right,
more than likely, but they would still have to abide by the new regulations. I mean, they'd be grandfathered in as far as well, no, it depends on the wording, I guess. Cause you're saying any property underneath an acre, then not being allowed? Is that what you were saying?
well, I'm just
saying, the majority are that are in town are on lots under an acre right now.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know how many-
No, they wouldn't, they would just continue to exist in the sense that they do now. Where they're not allowed, but I don't actively go out and look for it. But if somebody were to complain, they'd have to get rid of them still.
I could see where that would be. Depending on what we do, your biggest problem. Of the grandfathered or existing,
Yeah, right, I mean, right now. I'm pretty clear cut on the rules. If it says that they can't have them and somebody complains, I tell them, look. That you can't have them in the rules, sorry. It doesn't make my job really any harder, one way or the other. Just adds one little more step to everything.
personally, I'm not sure why anybody would wanna keep bees in the city. Cause I've heard of one person that had bees. And the neighbors sprayed their lawns for dandelions
Killed
and they killed bees.
them. Bees, we obviously haven't had as many inquiries. They're just normally grouped in with chickens in the other municipalities. And the library had a bee exhibit this year. And right after that sparked a bunch of people wanting to get bees. And I think a lot of people see both of them as a hobby, just like to having a backyard garden. So I think that's where a lot of the interest in the bees came from.
Can we like, can we think of doing 5 small apartments? Cause I personally feel like 10 is a lot. I don't know.
That's what we're here for.
Go back. Go back in time. And look when we did the farm. At Lake Mary. And see what we came up with. They have a mini farm for. Instructional purposes and because of the kind of therapy, that's the word I was looking for. They complete with barn and little barn and everything, and we dealt with this, how many chickens?
That was the chicken calculator you were talking about, and I looked for that. Did you say you knew when that was?
Oh, that's got to have been 10 years ago, I think, John,
Over.
10 years ago at least. It was
I did-
whenever they built that, whenever, well,
Okay, I know, I can probably go off of that and see if I can.
and I don't know if Randy would know. Cause I don't know if she
I don't
might have
think she
been
was
here.
here.
I don't think she was
I
here.
believe she was.
But the gentleman that was in charge of it and everything, he was killed in an auto accident just shortly after they got it going.
Oh, okay.
And, I can't think of his name. He was French or English. One of the, he was, but anyway, it's been a number of years ago, but we dealt with how many chickens per acre and how many chickens per 1,000 feet and all, remember that? And they came up with some kind, this guy did a lot of work, came up with a calculation. And,
Interesting.
Cause there's one for large farm animals, right? Like a certain number of acreage per.
yeah,
cow
we
or
had it,
horse.
we had both of them. It was a conditional use, it might be a conditional use permit.
Yeah, they were, I don't think we ever even allowed, it was more chickens.
Chickens
There was
and
no
small.
there was no large farm.
But I mean, in general, isn't it one like cow per?
I wanna
isn't
say
it
something like
one
that.
per 3 acres or something like that?
Yeah, and that's probably why, I briefly looked through the Stockman's handbook, it talks about it in there, and I think that's why we used it, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm,
So anyway, that's, would be another source you could go back and look, if you can find it.
does anybody that have chickens only have 10 chickens? It seems
Do
like
what?
people to me that have chickens have a lot, you know, like we said, like going to 5, because if we do 10, does anybody that have chickens have less than 10 chickens? It seems like they have more.
I don't know,
I mean,
it kinda
sure they
depends.
Depends, I guess, on how many eggs you eat too, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you eat a lot of eggs, then you're gonna, you want a lot of chickens.
I mean, I know both
They're
extremes, I've got friends that have them just for eggs, and they've got about 10 or 15, and they live out in the country.
Yeah.
And then my sister raises chickens, and she's got hundreds,
Yeah.
so
Well,
it's,
My
they
son,
can be all over the place.
my son's got, I think, 15 of them, and he lives up by Hillsdale, and he raises them for egg production for themselves. To do, to eat and bake with and do all this kind of stuff with, so I don't know that 10's not, I don't know that
Okay.
10's not an unreasonable number. 5, I don't know that you're gonna get a lot of eggs out of, cause not all of them lay all the time.
if people wanted to have chickens to hatch, to raise, to incubate, is that part of this concern?
I don't see it really being a concern, because if they hatch them and then raise them and don't get rid of them, they become a nuisance. People are gonna start calling it if they've got 30, 50, they
Okay.
just keep multiplying it. And at that point, I can write a letter saying, you're allowed this many, you need to get rid of them. No different than I do anything else.
If you're gonna hatch them, you need a rooster in the mix.
Yeah.
If you're gonna raise, if you're gonna hatch them.
Yeah, I know people in the country that, I mean, they do the whole thing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite a production.
That's what my sister and brother-in-law do.
Yeah, okay.
They raise broilers, so.
The only thing I really had, chickens is, to me, is not much of a problem. The bees are,
Yeah, that's,
cause you've got people that if they get stung with one honeybee, some people have to head to the hospital. And that kind of bothers me there. The liability of an ordinance saying, okay, you can keep one hive if you've got an acre around your house. I mean,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
had a deal this summer, about a month ago, down in southern Missouri. I found out what the African honeybees are,
Oh, really?
the ones that burrow in the
Mhm.
ground. I stepped out of a RV walking down to a dock. And they boiled up out of a hole in the ground. They'd never, ever been there all summer. I got hit 11 times before I could get out of the way. And luckily, I didn't, I got sick, but I didn't have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So that,
I'm kinda like John, I mean, I think 3 acres is a minimum that you've gotta have if you wanna raise honeybees, and again, as he said, a lot of it has to do with people have bad reactions to these things.
Mhm.
They don't have bad reactions to chicken.
Yeah.
Unless they eat the eggs, but.
Yeah.
But bees are much more dangerous.
Yeah.
So is there any way we can also in the large animals, like put goats in there, because and I feel like if you don't list it in there, then somebody's gonna be like, well, it's not listed, so.
Put goats in the large.
Yeah, goat should be a large,
Yeah,
a large farm animal.
Yeah, and I was planning on
so if you put goats, you put
grouping them
sheep.
into the similarly sized, but yeah, like it doesn't hurt to put it in
The
there.
goat's digestive system, they've got to be moving all the time. If they're stationary in a small area, they're gonna,
Blow
I
it
guess,
up.
per se, get constipated and have to have a vet. They've gotta keep moving all the time
No,
for
nice.
their system to work.
Would there be a reason to put maybe even like alpacas, emus?
I think they would be easy enough to group into the similarly sized, I don't know.
Yeah, if you've got hogs in there, you've got some, I mean, that's, anything bigger than a hog obviously is. Hogs and up is gonna be in there, so,
Sheep would.
Or-
yeah, sheep would fall in that.
Maybe you wanna go into the pet pig bit.
Walk out of
Oh,
your
yeah.
house and
Well,
have
that
a
even-
hummus.
That'd even be better,
Yeah.
because anything better than a pot-bellied pig would be
Yeah,
Hey, a
excellent.
pig is a pig.
Yeah,
Oh, I had friends in school that had their little pet pot bellies.
oh, yeah,
Is it emu?
yeah, but I think you're right, goats definitely, because you're probably gonna get more goats than sheep.
Yeah.
And they can get loud, those ones that cry, they'll feel like a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we got the,
So,
just to understand, there's no regulation on bees now, the
No.
bees part's all new,
yeah, it's
Okay.
completely new.
okay.
Yeah.
Cause two hives would, I mean, how many thousands of bees would two hives be?
That's a lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, hundreds.
We had well, not very far, right across from the county barn, my brother farms that ground. And 3 years ago, he went in there to disc or something early. And there was they'd taken over this big fence post.
Yeah,
I mean, it was swarmed. The queen had left somewhere and took some bees with her,
yeah.
him, her, and we called a beekeeper. He come out and
Got them up, didn't you?
got every bit, he was tickled to death to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
But yeah, there was probably thousands there.
So for bees, change to permitted on lots over 3 acres.
yeah,
Okay. And then with that being, and we can. Do you want to keep the rest of the regulations about the flyaway barrier and? Just in case somebody
Yeah.
with a 3 acre lot doesn't put it right on the edge. where it's
Right,
gonna be-
yeah.
okay.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Cover your.
And
Cover your
then-
six.
Yeah,
Then you wanna bring these back next time so we can look at the revised
Mhm.
version.
and then I'll just get rid of section 5 on that.
Yeah.
For the larger than 3 acres or 1 and 2 acres. Yeah, that'll work.
All right. We good on that then?
I think so.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the sign regulations. That looks like it's pretty cut and dry.
It
It's
very-
not a option on our part.
Not really.
We're catching up to
Yeah,
current regular requirements.
yep.
Yeah.
So, city staff has recently found that a subsection in the LDO is not in compliance with Kansas statute 25-2711. This section of the LDO was updated in 2010. And the statute was introduced in 2015. Staff is proposing a change of section 7.102A5 to be consistent with Kansas statute. Current sign exemption subsection is for total exemptions, following signs shall be exempt from the requirements of this article, except for the provisions of section 7.104 and 7.220. Political campaign signs not exceeding 4 square feet in area displayed during no more than 4-week period preceding and a 1-week period following an election. The Kansas statute says that no city or county shall regulate or prohibit placement of or the number of political signs on private property or unpaved right of way for city streets or county roads on private property during the 45-day period prior to and 2-day period following such election. Cities and counties may regulate size and setback distance for the placement of signs so as to not impede sight lines or sight distance for safety reasons. So my proposed change is to just change section 5 to political campaign signs not exceeding 4 square feet in area displayed during a no more than 45-day period preceding and 2-day period following election. And right now, several people come campaign season ask about the political sign regulations. And I just go off of the Kansas statute, as far as what I tell them ours are. So this would just make it all consistent.
All right. Took care of signs. Let's move on to fencing material.
Fencing. So city staff has been approached by residents in regards to the use of hog wire as a fencing material. Decorative hog wire fencing has become more popular in the last few years as an alternative to chain link fences. These types of fences use hog wire or similar material, which is framed in wood and set on wood posts. The LDO currently prohibits the use of hog wire as a fencing material. Staff researched the zoning regulations for fences in 7 surrounding cities and compared them to Paola's. 5 of the surrounding cities either prohibited the use of hog wire or did not list hog wire as an acceptable material for residential fences. 2 cities did not mention fencing material, however, their fence regulations as a whole were more restrictive. And on your attached pages, examples of the decorative hog wire fences for reference. So we have gotten 2 people in the last year or so asking about it.
My issue with it is the word decorative. How do you regulate and make the decision whether the fence that you put up is decorative versus the fence she puts up is decorative? Yours looks similar to this. Hers are 2x2 posts in the ground with the wire stapled to the fence. She
says hers is decorative.
Yeah, I'm not picking on you, Jennifer, but she says hers is decorative. You say yours is decorative.
Who's right?
Yeah, who's right? I mean, it puts the city in the position of determining what's decorative and what's not. And decorative to me can have a different meaning for every individual person.
Yeah.
So I suggest that we leave it as is, no hog wire fences.
Okay.
That's only my.
I agree. If not, you're gonna have to delineate what we deem or what the city deems as being.
And that's probably what it would have to happen with it. It would have to go through you guys through design review on.
Right, like top board has to be a 2x6, sideboards have to be 2x4s, have to be 4x4 posts, and then we come into right now we're in the fence business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On this, it mentions no height.
And,
The hog wire panel, I think is only 4 foot tall. A 4 foot tall panel wouldn't keep the average dog in.
correct.
Personally, I actually like the looks of, for say, this top one,
And
with
personally,
the Dalmatian behind it.
I do too. I can see the difficulty in regulating of this. I can see both sides.
I happened to be in one of our sister cities earlier today, and I drove by a hog wire fence that I am sure the homeowner that put it up considers it decorative. And it was basically 8-foot landscaping timber stuck in the ground with the silver hog wire fence hog nailed to the landscaping timbers. To me, that wasn't decorative. To them, they think it's decorative, so that's where I'm kind of coming from. What I see here, yeah, if everybody built to these standards, yeah, these are gorgeous. I mean, they look nice.
Yeah, I'd like that.
But then you've got to become the person that says, no, it's not decorative.
I don't like your wood choice.
Yeah, I don't.
And, yeah, my biggest thing I see with it is that we can have people submit drawings like this of what they're planning on doing with the permit, but if it just ends up with T-posts and hog wire, then we have to come back and say, hey, you gotta take this fence out that you just spent all this money on.
Yep, exactly.
Like I said, I can see both sides of it.
Yeah.
I can see the desire for it.
Well, a regular fence that people put in their backyards is just, the 4x4s, 4x6s. What is the height on that? Are they 6 foot or?
6 foot in the rear and side yards, 4 foot up front.
Our neighborhood, it can't be higher than 4 feet all the way around. And they just changed it a couple years ago from 40 inches, from 44 inches up to 48 now.
Oh, okay.
I would imagine that some of these issues are probably why those other places not even prohibited or.
Yeah, and it was everywhere that I looked, prohibited, and theirs may have been outdated. I wouldn't call them outdated, but written a while back, when people traditionally thought of hog wire fence as a T-post and hog wire tied to it, but.
Do we have anything, somewhere in the back of my mind, we've got something against the chain link fence too, don't we?
In the front yard, no chain link in the front yard, and it actually specifies decorative material. It says chain link is not considered a decorative material.
And I know I've seen some black chain link fence
Mhm.
that I thought was more attractive than the silver.
Mhm. Mhm. And then it's limited to 4 feet for residential, no matter front or back.
Some chicken wire. That was nice.
Yeah, no, the second inquiry actually just came a couple weeks ago. I've already told one person, no, they couldn't do it. So I just figured, well, I was bringing everything else up, I might as well get your guys' input.
Where'd you
on
find these pictures?
Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one was actually one that, the individual sent me as an example of what they wanted to do.
I agree. First one's a nice looking fence. I don't know if I've ever seen black hog wire, but
Well, the way they've got it sandwiched in
Yeah.
between,
yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
to me, that is decorative.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah, I mean,
nice.
if everybody built that way,
Yeah,
it'd be great, but that's not gonna happen.
if it was like chain link, whether it's just kind of one style.
Yeah.
You don't have
And
a
if you could
choice.
say chain link's not decorative,
Yeah.
but then you have to get in depth on how it's actually installed, and it's a little bit harder to regulate.
Okay. That covers all of our agenda items for us. Now, back to staff for the Community and Economic Development Director report.
So permits year to date are 336, about 1 a day since last month, so. It hasn't really slowed down a ton, which is good. We've had some interest in putting 3 apartments and a small commercial kitchen on the square in the Farm Bureau building. So hopefully that goes through. It's kind of preliminary research on it for them, and
Where Rusty is?
Mhm.
Huh.
Yep. We've had some interest in the Industrial Park Drive property for storage units. We're kind of waiting on Randy to get back to actually type everything up and present it to council. But they'd be self-storage, climate control, as well as some contractor garages,
Wow,
so,
yeah, that'd be nice.
yeah. Climate control is one thing we don't have. Really, we're in here, we don't have the contractor garages, so
Yeah.
it'd be a good addition out there. We've had some interest, a little bit of interest in the land across from the hospital on the east side of 169. For retail and hospitality development, sadly, no residential. It's just all kind of preliminary on it. I got some information together for a guy representing the developer. So kind of waiting to hear back on that if they want to pull the trigger on something. October City Council with new library director Morgan Menifee was introduced. And the liquor license was approved for 1001 North Pearl. We call Pearl Street Liquor, and they're open now. They got their liquor license and opened on Thursday.
Where's that at? 101 North Pearl.
Right, it used to be In Good Spirits.
Oh,
Right next
Yeah.
to the gas station.
Still
Colby
just
and,
Stanfield.
yeah,
Mhm.
they don't own it anymore?
No,
Okay,
new owners.
yeah. I was like, all right, this is 1016, I should know that.
And next month's planning commission, more than likely will be the final site plan for AEC. I'll be back with amended LDO text amendments. So, and then as long as you guys are good with them next month, then I'll probably try to set the public hearing depending on when the days fall, for December. So that way we'll have everything ready to go for it. That's all I have.
Anybody have any questions for staff? Hearing none, I would take the motion for adjournment.
Second the motion for adjournment.
Yeah,
McLean,
Yeah.
Cowan,
yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Mauer,
Yes.
Dees.
Yes.